Yesterday, the Liberal government announced a deal had been reached to move the cancelled gas-fired generating station in Oakville to Eastern Ontario. Energy Minister Chris Bentley told the legislature the total unrecoverable cost for moving the Oakville Energy Project to the Lennox generating facility in Napanee will be $40 million.
Bentley made the announcement just before the government was to release thousands of pages of documents on 2 cancelled power plants. The opposition wants to ensure that the Grits are held accountable for months of delay, what they consider was a blatant attempt to hide documents of their so-called seat-saver gas plant cancellations. Now that's why the Ontario PCs moved forward today with a contempt motion against Energy Minister Chris Bentley.
And we're joined at Queen's Park today by PC House Leader Jim Wilson. Jim, shouldn't you at least have a smoking gun that implicates the minister in this debacle before you find him in contempt? Because apparently there's a lot of blank pages in those documents to make that conclusion.
Yeah, there are, Mark. There's 36,000 pages of documents, but we don't think we got all the documents. For instance, the minister admitted just a couple of weeks ago that it was the Liberal Party of Ontario that made the decision to cancel the gas plants, the so-called seat saver program, which is not costing $40 million or $190 million, which was the original price for the Mississauga plant. They're now saying $40 million for the Oakville plant. The skimming of the documents that we've done so far in the last few hours shows we're up to $645 million. So about $650 million in climbing for the 2 plants. The government is having a hard time out in the hallways here at Queen's Park denying that number because we have it in black and white. But back to the Liberal Party, there's not one single document in 36,000 documents that shows any connection to the Liberal Party, yet the minister told us it was the Liberal Party of Ontario in 2010 and then again with the Mississauga plant during the last election last year that made this decision, yet there's no emails, surprisingly, between the Liberal Party. There's no emails from the Premier, and there's no paper trail at all from the Minister of Energy himself. So we think hundreds, if not thousands, of documents are missing, and that's one of the reasons we're moving ahead with contempt to hold the government and the Minister of Energy to hold them to account for what is the actual cost of this historic seat saver program.
Okay, but Jim, let's talk about timing, because you have enough votes between your party and the NDP to demand an all-party investigation into this matter. So why not do that and then call ministers or the Premier, for that matter, to account for their actions and then lay the contempt charges then?
Well, that's what this does. This is a contempt motion. It actually takes a committee of the legislature. In this case, we're going to ask the Justice Committee, the Finance Committee, to call in members of the Liberal Party, to call in members of the minister's political staff, the Premier's political staff, the Premier himself, perhaps, the Minister himself, perhaps, and much like the Orange Inquiry, try and get to the bottom of this. It'll be up to that committee to produce a report and send it back to the House. The report would have to say we now find the minister in contempt after hearing from him and his officials and other experts in the electricity industry. So that's the next stage, and the motion we put forward today would limit that stage until about mid-November, and then we should see a report from the committee come back to the House. And then the Speaker, he made it clear in another ruling he made today that it's actually up to the House itself. Now, this is the first time in 104 years that anyone's been found in contempt, and it's the first time a Minister of the Crown in the history of Ontario has been found in contempt. And you know, he could go to jail. He could be asked to apologize in a humiliating way in front of the House, maybe called to the bar of the House, for example. I doubt it would go as far as jail, but certainly we need to hold the minister to account so that no future government ever has to go to this extreme again to keep the government honest and to make sure that it's truthful about what its seat saver programs are. After all, this was a dirty political election campaign trick, and we've had 2 years of cover-up from the government. Enough's enough.
Jim, we've got about a minute to go here. What happens to the work of the legislature while this debate over contempt charges continues?
The work over the legislature is halted. Again, it's the first time in 104 years, so we're kind of going by what the clerks and the Speaker tell us to do. But we didn't have question period today. We probably won't have it tomorrow. I suspect this thing will wind up fairly soon, though, because we do like to have question period. We are the opposition. And we'll get to committee. Committee will do its work for a few weeks and report back to the House.
And we've got about 20 seconds. Quickly, I want to ask you, apologies are great, but what are the chances of getting the $40 million back from the Liberal Party?
Well, of course, it's going to be more than $40 million. We're now up to about $645 million. I've said all along, and others are starting to say, it's the Liberal Party of Ontario that pulled this seat saver program, this dirty trick that bought the election in 2011. They should be paying the cost overruns, but I doubt that's going to happen. But it's certainly, I couldn't care if it takes them 100 years to pay it back. It's their dirty trick. They should pay for it. They should be held accountable for it.
That was 19 seconds. Excellent, Jim. That's Queen's Park, at Queen's Park, PC House Leader Jim Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.